totally confused. I was crying. What was going on with me? I wouldn't believe it. So I asked him, are you saying that I am crazy? Hello everyone, my name is Katherine. I'm a yoga teacher. Today I'd like to share with you my journey through depression and anxiety disorder. In this video, I'm going to share with you my journey from being diagnosed to how to try to heal through different treatments. Tomorrow I'm turning 30 and I thought that it may be the best occasion to share with you the biggest challenge I've faced in my 20s, which is going through mental illnesses. And I'm still struggling every day with it. The reason why I want to do this video is, having been mentally unwell myself, I've realized that many people in our society were at some point or have at some point been going through mental disorders or mental issues. We are not very encouraged to talk about it. So this video is not meant to be professional or educational. It's just my very first-hand experience that I would like to share with you all, so that you don't feel lonely if you're going through similar situation as I am. I was a yoga teacher. I practice yoga every day. I taught yoga every day. I was also a wine educator. I taught everything about wine in the local wine school. I was also a very fervent language learner, so in my free time I like to learn different languages: German, Dutch, Spanish and Italian. I also really loved boxing. I had regular training every week at a local boxing gym. In short, I loved to pack my schedule really full every day, so to feel like I'm productive and that I made the most of the day. Let me very quickly and briefly explain what is depression and anxiety disorder. According to the number provided by World Health Organization, in 2019, there was 5% of the whole population in the entire world that was suffering depression. This number translates roughly to 280 million people. Depression is very different from the mood fluctuations that you and I or everyone else might have encountered in response to daily life challenges. Depression is also not about being unhappy or being unable to deal with stress. It is biological. Something happens in our brain that causes this illness, which is chemical imbalances. Just like the chemical imbalance in diabetes with insulin or menstrual problems with hormones, depression is caused by issues of our neurotransmitters. Neurotransmitters are actually chemical messengers that send signals to our brain cells. The three major neurotransmitters that are related to depression are serotonin, dopamine, and norepinephrine, which is also understood as adrenaline. The density and the distribution of these neurotransmitters in our brain affects our chemical responses, such as our digestion, our sleep, our mood. If something happens there, it can cause depressive disorders. Just like a car without gasoline, patients dealing with depression, they find themselves lacking the motivation for life. At its worst, depression can lead to suicide. Every year, over 700,000 people die due to suicide. Regarding anxiety disorder, there are 6 categorized types: phobia, social anxiety disorder, post-traumatic stress disorder, panic disorder, obsessive compulsive disorder, and also GAD, generalized anxiety disorder. It depends on which type that they are facing. Everyone may respond very differently. The one that I have been going through is GAD. GAD often co-occurs with depression. Anxiety disorder is very different from just simply feeling anxious or worry here and there, worrying about your promotion, about paying your rent. People suffering from anxiety disorder have excessive fear and worry that are way beyond their control over certain situations or certain elements in life, totally disrupt their ability to function normally. Last year, 2022, in September, when I was teaching yoga and having a really intense daily schedule, there was this acute pain that appears in my stomach region, upper abdomen. Back then, this stomach pain has also caused severe nausea and dizziness in me that I had to stop teaching in the middle of the class. At first I was wondering if I was pregnant because of the constant desire to vomit. It wasn't pregnancy. Later I thought it was ulcer, so I went to the specialist and went through all the scans for my stomach and intestine regions. Nothing was found until one day I felt really sick. This acute pain wouldn't go away. Then my husband and I, we went to an emergency room. We went through a lot of checkups, CT scan even, and a lot of cardiac check because I also had intense chest pain back then. Nothing was found. So my doctor concluded that after having seen all the medical reports, that all my organs functioned normally and I was physically in general very fit. He just said, perhaps you should go see a psychiatrist. I wouldn't believe it. So I asked him in frustration, are you saying that I am crazy? Having been referred to my psychiatrist, I was quickly diagnosed with depression and anxiety disorder. Back then, I have a series of somatic symptoms. They are real physical symptoms, but they are unrelated to any malfunctioning of your organs. The symptoms that I had included stomach pain, chest pain, gut discomfort, nausea, dizziness, insomnia, and then these somatic symptoms would move more towards a emotional response, such as I would cry out of no reason, I would be angry and yell at my husband, racing thoughts, shortness of breath, I can't control and regulate my emotions. I had panic attacks with great intensity. I also had multiple times experiencing suicidal thoughts. Note that I'm in general quite a proactive and positive person in life. It would be the least thing I think on earth to kill myself, but it happens so many times, even till a few days ago. Most of the time in the past few months, even recently, I just always hide myself at home, lying in bed, totally losing motivation, just feel like a zombie every day, not having that desire or enthusiasm in life to do what I used to love. I just want to lie down. I don't want to socialize. I don't want to talk to anyone. It feels like at some point I lose the purpose to live. The past couple of months has been a total disruption of my life and my ability to operate as usual. So I haven't been working at all. I haven't been teaching or giving any classes. It has been a really dark period of my life. But as I mentioned, I'm a very proactive person and I always look for solution and to accomplish goals. I did not hesitate, nor did I procrastinate in the treatment, medication and psychotherapy. There are several major types of antidepressants. To know which type suits you, you should always consult your GP or your psychiatrist if you have one. As this is not meant to be a professional video, I'm just going to share with you what I have researched in the past couple of months and what I have obtained as my own information. The medication is helping to bring back a chemical balance among these chemical messengers such as dopamine and adrenaline, etc. The one that I'm taking is treating the level of serotonin in my brain. This type of medication is called SSRI, selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. They help with depression by stopping the reabsorption of the serotonin that happens automatically, and it provides a higher level and increase of serotonin inside your brain. SSRI helps to regulate the mood, and some psychiatrists may also use them to treat anxiety disorders as well. The brand that I am taking is Lexapro, 10 milligram every day before sleep. There are other more well-known brands such as Prozac that also belongs to the SSRI category. Another type of antidepressants that's very similar to SSRI is SNRI, serotonin and norepinephrine reuptake inhibitor. It's a newer class of antidepressants that also treats OCD, ADHD, and some menopausal symptoms. There's also NASA, noradrenaline and selective serotonergic antidepressants, as well as TCA, tricyclic antidepressants. TCAs are older type of antidepressants that may cause more severe series of side effects compared to SSRI, SNRI. Some people are really hesitant in taking antidepressants even though their psychiatrist or their GP would recommend them. Usually these kind of medication would take a few weeks for the effects to kick in. Patients usually need to commit to a longer period of time at least 6 months, sometimes multiple years, for the effects of these antidepressants to be sustained. I have started my consumption of antidepressants, the SSRI, since September, and now we're in March already, and I don't see in the coming months that I can wean off the medication, although that's the goal that I'm working towards. There's a series of side effects depending on which medication that you are taking, including nausea, dizziness, insomnia, loss of libido, you don't want to have sex, or erectile dysfunction. Some people may also experience headache, weight gain, dry mouth, or just like me, strong urge to sleep, especially in the morning. It's very hard for me to wake up. I just feel very drowsy and very fatigued every morning. I used to be a very, very early bird. I woke up at 5 something every day to go practice yoga, and it has been really unusual for me to want to stay in bed till 10, 11, or even the whole day. And it's beyond my control. Even though I have the willpower, physically I am so tired all the time. Of course, this video is not meant to be preaching on the use of medication. Please talk to your doctors if you feel the need or not to take some. The other treatment that I have been subscribing to is psychotherapy. Some people may be very skeptical about how useful is this? You're just gonna talk to some so-called professionals in the mental health area. I know for many years that I've been dealing with chronic stress that I imposed onto myself. I always have been a very high achiever kind of person. Committing to a weekly psychotherapy session helped me to understand. It's like peeling the onion layer by layer. Through her help, I start to have a stronger ability to aware what's going on inside me. With the help of my psychotherapist, I have understood there's a huge developmental trauma that happened in my childhood. I have deep attachment wounds left from the parenting that my back then emotionally immature parents have caused me. This is not meant to blame anyone in my family, but I realize it's quite a repeated pattern through generations and in different families. It could actually be a very common pain that a lot of us have suffered without knowing. In order to deal with this kind of emotional wounds and traumas, our body is so conditioned to perform in certain way, and our nervous system also keeps scores of what happened when we are physically dealing with the trauma. For example, your gut may feel very uncomfortable, you may have stomach pain, you may feel a rage rising up to your brain, chest pain, tension around the chest area, and the inability to breathe normally. These physical and emotional responses became very automatic. We are unable to identify them, and then it causes us to behave in certain ways in order to respond to the feeling that has been triggered by these kind of traumas. In the psychotherapy sessions, as my therapist is specialized in trauma resolution, she helped me with a trauma therapy tool called EMDR, eye movement desensitization reprocessing. I was required to focus heavily on the traumatic memory that I kept inside me. We go through some bilateral movements, sometimes the eye movement left and right, sometimes by tapping left and right alternatively onto my respective thighs. The goal of this process, of course, then is to help to heal from these traumas and some distressing events happened in our lives. Apart from that, we also have done some inner child work. I have been identified by people around me as someone very impatient and short-tempered, and I tend to be angry very easily. Through these therapy sessions, I was able to see that it's not because I am an angry person, it is because there's a lot of trauma kept in the young Katherine that has not been able to soothe. These kind of inner child work helped me to resolve the deep-rooted traumatic feelings and emotions that I have kept inside, or let's say the inner child, the younger Katherine still hold today. And gradually this process could hopefully harness joy, peace, and also confidence. Or another way of saying it is we learn to parent ourselves. If our biological or our adoptive parents were not able to provide this to us, we provide this to ourselves. We also have done a lot of CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy techniques, such as setting a future template. We think of scenarios in which I could respond differently. We also practice how to self-regulate my emotions through a lot of physical techniques such as polyvagal exercises, breathing exercises. Being able to self-regulate is really important. If we are unable to do so, we will just let our emotion fly around, and sometimes it may hurt people around us, and we are continuously transferring and carrying this kind of trauma that we suffered to others. On top of my individual psychotherapy sessions, I also started couple therapy alongside my husband Yannick with the same therapist. So in the couple therapy, it helps us to shed light on each other's needs, vulnerabilities, and how to attend to each other better, more effectively. We learn about how to communicate non-violently, the differences between us, our cultural background, the way that we were raised by our parents, the way that we communicate, the way that we function. We see the weakness, the traumas in each other, different attachment styles, past experience, and how we are likely to deal with different scenarios. Couple therapy may sound very cringy to some people. Until the day that I've done it, I always thought it was so unnecessary. But I really would like to recommend, if you are in a relationship with someone, going through such co-regulation, co-understanding sessions is really valuable. Lastly, of course, finding the right therapist is a game changer. Perhaps talk to your psychiatrist to see if they have referral or some well-being professionals in your surrounding, people in your circle that have gone through similar circumstances that have the right reference to give to you. However hard and however proactive that I've been trying to deal with anxiety disorder and depression, it doesn't mean the progress is linear. There are good days, there are bad days, there are ups and downs within a day, within an hour, within a week, and I'm still, till today, struggling to cope. By sharing these ongoing struggles, I'm not complaining about anything, but to be real. In social media, we are often encouraged to share the positive, the upside of our lives. We don't really shed lights on issues and struggles that we are facing. I hope if you're going through a similar situation, you don't feel alone. I'm someone that tends to give myself a lot of stress. I have been really trying to learn how to manage my stress. One of the ways is to learn that I have options. I don't have to be perfect every time. I have options to be flexible, to choose how I want to do things, how intense I want to do things, how well I want to do things. It doesn't mean that we want to be mediocre, but to know that we have options helps to take the stress off the shoulder. As my depression is mostly triggered by stress, this kind of stress-related depression is often encountered by people who share similar personality traits as I have, such as high achiever, go-getter, productive, diligent, perfectionist. I have been very military to myself. I want things ultra high standard. I had been incredibly disciplined. Now the struggle is really to learn to win, to get off this high achiever mindset, and it's really difficult. It's almost easier to be very disciplined and very straightforward because it's single focused. You just need to focus on being the best, being great. But then it's really hard for me to learn how to step back, take a rest whenever I need. Another struggle that really still disturbs me greatly is my inability to go back to teaching. I was teaching yoga, I did it well, my students love me, and I have been able to share my passion with people. Even till today, thinking about teaching would make me cry. It feels almost unbearably intense. I also have not returned to a physical practice that I used to keep every day. It's like having my identity completely shattered. Practicing yoga is like my life, and I have not been able to return to that regularly. I late cancel my plans, my yoga classes. I ditch my friends last minute. It's too overwhelming. I just want to stay in bed. It's also very hard for me to learn how to not compare myself with people around me. Sometimes, scrolling through Instagram or LinkedIn, and you will see, wow, the peers that graduated the same year as me or my previous colleagues in different companies, they seem to be doing so well in their career, and now I'm staying in bed every freaking day doing nothing, not earning much, not progressing in my career if I even have a career. I always told my husband I felt so useless, like a piece of shit, being so paralyzed mentally, physically and emotionally. I haven't been doing much and I don't feel useful. I don't feel useful. And it's a feeling very hard to deal with. It hurts your ego, self-esteem, self-identity. Having grown up in Hong Kong, I am someone very independent in the sense that I don't need help from other people, and it has been very difficult for me to rely on my husband. Some people around me may sometimes comment that, oh, you're so good, you have Yannick, you don't need to work and he can support your living, just chill. These comments, they don't seem to mean much, but it hurts my ego. Being someone who has always been independent and now suddenly you have to give up your autonomy to rely on someone else completely means that you don't have control. Now, staying at home, not working, not earning my own money has been a sentiment that I really struggle with. And to kickstart journey of healing the inner self, it's a shitload of work and it's very, very hard. I have my weekly individual therapy session every Tuesday. I usually just set that day completely free because I would go home and just cry or feel incredibly low, even lower than I already feel every day. It feels really raw because you are shattering all your previous behavioral patterns, thought patterns, and the way you identify with yourself. You are inverting your world upside down just to understand what is the deepest needs, the deepest fear of yours. It's really not easy. I also would like to share what I have learned in the past 6 months that I find valuable. I learned so much about the factor of stress. Why you are stressed? What can stress do to your body and to your mental health? Physically speaking, there's a lot of scientific researches in different medical fields that talks about the direct relation of chronic stress to chronic diseases such as cancer, breast cancer, for example, ASL, and a lot of other types of illnesses. I have been shifting away from my physical asana yoga practice, and this shift shed more light on the true teachings of yoga itself to me. I always ask myself, why do I practice? How intense should I practice? Do I feel obliged to practice or do I want to practice? What's the goal of practicing? To which frequency and intensity should I give when I'm physically on the mat practicing? Being forced to go through this mental health issue, I start to see things in clarity, in a better clarity, let's say. I used to put so much value in the work that I produce. I always want to be the best student, the best teacher, the best colleague, the best wine educator, the best in everything. I did not value relationship as much. I did not value my physical health as much. Having been sick made me realize nothing is more important than your own health. It's such a cliche thing to say, but our physical body is the vessel that we live in. And if we don't take care of it, of our mind as well, there's nothing left for us. Also, people who are closest to us, our family, our friends, our other half, so important. It may sound a bit cliche, but here's some small things that helps with elevating my mood and to rebuild step by step. It's very important through your healing process to continue participate in life. Don't put your life on pause. It's just impossible. The world keeps turning around regardless of your situation. We need this kind of positive reference in our daily life in order for us to have the strength to continue healing. Understand we need to take things step by step. Don't shoot for big stars. Walk tiny steps every time. If you feel like you're gonna bail out on a social gathering, why don't you just get off the bed and go brush your teeth? If you feel like then brushing your teeth is manageable, maybe put on your clothes, maybe comb your hair. Do it step by step. You can withdraw anytime. You don't have to even leave home and go see your friend eventually, but do small steps at a time help you to feel that things are not as overwhelming as you think. Allow yourself to say no. If you don't feel like talking to your friend, going out to practice or do your daily activity, just know that you have the option, the permission to say no to things and to rest. Playing some music at home, chilling out, just taking a nap. Rest is important and your body and mind needs that. Go out and get some sun. It will make you feel better. Go to the beach, go out hiking, or even just walking around the corner outside your block will tremendously help shifting your mood. Perform some minimal physical movement. I would recommend yoga, but currently I'm not really practicing physical forms of yoga that much, but yoga is a great tool to help you ground down. Other minimal movements include going out for a walk, some minimal stretching, but avoid combative exercises or exercises with great intensity, such as boxing or HIIT. If it's within your capacity, go traveling. I took a 2-week trip back in Germany and France in October, and a full month traveling in Southeast Asia. Being able to go out from my usual bubble in Hong Kong, outside of my daily life and my social circles, really helped tremendously. I see new things, I gain new experiences, I try new food. It helps me to find small joys in life. It's also good to travel locally. Maybe take the train, take the bus, somewhere that you don't really know within your district or to the next area, and just explore. I also start to find pleasure in the smallest things in life, and my current yoga is cooking. I've never found cooking enjoyable. I start to find some therapeutic elements in cooking, going to do groceries, preparing the ingredients, chopping things up, and start to see things brewing and coming into one beautiful piece that you can share with people that you love, and I find that beautiful. I also start to enjoy making videos for YouTube, Instagram. The small reels that I do every day makes me feel more productive and to have small goals every day. Last thing I recommend is to journal. Journal helps to clear your thinking processes. It's also kind of like a dialogue. You are engaging with yourself. I would also share some further readings, books that I find really useful in the description box below. These books help me to understand why I became sick, how I became sick, how to heal from that, so that maybe if you are in the midst of it, or if people that you care about is going through similar situations, you could understand it better. Thank you for watching this video, and I enjoyed sharing with you my journey. I hope that you know that you're not alone and you can go through this. If you like our videos, please subscribe to our channel. Feel free to message me anytime on Instagram or comment below, and I'd like to talk to you more. Thank you and see you.